Okay, we'll start our meetings with public input. Is there anybody signed by?
All right.
Is there anybody who wishes to speak on any subject before the town? If not, we'll move along. Kathy, for the record, all members are present. We have a set of minutes, gentlemen, for October 2nd. Does anybody want to move those in for approval? Moved by Gil. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. Any changes that anybody wishes to make? If not, all in favor of approving signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. Our bill pay is slightly changed from what's in writing before you. The total dollars are $334,253.93, not 23 cents. The vouchers remain 2017-1845 through 1928. I need a motion to pay these bills. Moved by Art, second by Larry. Any bills that anybody wishes to hold? If not, then all in favor of approving signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. There's Paul here.
Got a fire call.
In case the Paul is not here.
Yeah, we're all running around chasing some smoke now right now, but, I got enough guys out there, they're not doing it.
Chasing some smoke. Where are we at?
It smells like somebody's burning wire off of a plastic now, so
Not
they're
another
chasing it around.
Not another garage like Friday night?
Yeah, hopefully not. But, water department, the other day on the holiday, we had quite a bit of rain for some reason. A little backup over the county drive area, which, I think we might have had a couple cleanouts that went underwater. We had a little into the pump station there. And, just general, I think there's quite a few houses that are flooded. That amount of rain in that short of time caused a little smoke, especially with the weeds now. Should have done some business what we had.
There's a bit of flooding on Deborah Drive. There's a bit of flooding on Bala Drive that I'm aware of. Anything else for Rich? Thank you. Mike?
Just one thing, Saturday, October 28th, Halloween party. Start time will be 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
6 to 8. No, we don't do entertainment for Halloween party.
Anything for Mike? Now, we used to close the parks, but we're not officially closing the parks any longer, is that correct?
No.
So kids can keep using them without an issue. Mike Clark, you had an exciting day. I've got a...
You had a conversation with Brian earlier?
Anything for Mike Clark? Thank you. Paul, you missed your turn. So now it's your turn. Anything going on? Anything going on at Highway?
Not much. We started picking up weeds today. We only have one truck out now. We'll get to a heavy one, put two. When we do put two weed trucks out, the ship probably will be taken off the road for a while. I want to keep the drainage crew going, and I can't do all them things and keep it going. So we did complete painting for Highway Department. We did the inside last winter, and a week or two ago they finished the outside. So we did everything ourselves and saved quite a bit of money that way.
We had talked a while ago, probably a month ago, about Suit Coat coming back and taking a look at...
They did.
I don't...
They came back and scraped the edges up so we could get some of the stuff lifted up off the edges. Taking the rest of them up. We went back through the sweeper again. And I'm figuring the rest will wear away over the course of the winter that our wind will ride down the edge.
So they...
Clean up the rest of the spring.
There's a couple of spots that could use goop where the goop disappeared. You're not going to fix that?
Probably not. No. They won't feel it right. See what it looks like in the spring, and then do something in the spring, I think.
Anything else for Paul? Bridget, anything exciting going on in assessment? I know a bounce pad that would be inexpensive to buy. Anything for Bridget? Arlene? I don't think I want it to. Anything for Arlene? We had our last dance of the year, and my last dance as supervisor, and I'm going to miss that a lot. Tim, anything from Wendell?
Yes, we have one thing on our agenda this evening for you, and that's our planning board summary from actually the second meeting in September and the first meeting in October. First meeting in September was on September 20th, or I'm sorry, the second meeting, September 20th. First item was a public hearing for special use permit for Nicoletti self-storage. The applicant proposes to construct 3 buildings to house a total of 150 storage units of various sizes. In addition, 65 designated spaces of various sizes would be constructed outside for boat and RV storage. The 4.8 acre M1 zoned parcel is located on the southeast corner of Lockport Road and Walmore Road and would have 2 gated entrances, one from each adjacent road. The planning board held a public hearing as required for a special use permit and heard from 2 members of the public who were opposed to the project. No action was taken. The next item was a site plan from Moog. The applicant proposes to construct a 725 square foot scrubber building, a new 7,595 square foot propellant storage building, and a new access drive, along with various renovations to several of their existing buildings in the Wheatfield Business Park. That's by the airport, Walmore, and the Boulevard. Constructed in 3 phases over approximately 18 months, the project is expected to create a total of 100 new jobs, 50 at this facility and 50 at their East Aurora facility. The applicant was advised of items to include and address in their next submittal, including Fire Advisory Board and Fire Department review, as well as FAA, NFTA, and airbase notifications. The project will also require a height variance as the proposed scrubber building will be higher than 40 feet. No action was taken. The next item was a sketch plan for Empower. The applicant proposes to reuse the existing retail and office space at 3571 Niagara Falls Boulevard, that's the Meadowbrook Square, as a bottle and can redemption center. The planning board determined that since there was no proposed change to the site or building envelope, that the project is only subject to town code enforcement and not planning board review. No action was required or taken. The next item is a special use permit renewal for Kendall. The applicant is requesting renewal of the temporary special use permit to stable 2 horses at 2569 Worrell Street. Public hearing was scheduled for the next planning board meeting on October 4th at 7:05 p.m. No other action was taken. And the last agenda item that evening was a site plan for the Small World Daycare. The applicant proposes to construct a 1,900 square foot addition to their existing building located at 3793 Commerce Court. That's the Woodlands Corporate Expansion, or the Woodlands Corporate Center on the west side of Shawnee Road. Previous planning board and engineering comments have been addressed. It was determined that the proposed action is a type 2 action under seeker because it's less than 4,000 square foot of construction, and that no further environmental review was required. The planning board approved the site plan with noted conditions. The next meeting was October 2nd, and there were 2 items on that agenda. The first one was the public hearing for the special use permit for Kendall. I'm not going to read all that all over again, but the planning board had the public hearing, closed the public hearing, and subsequently approved the special use permit with a new expiration date of October 5th, 2019. The second item was again the Nicoletti self-storage building. I'm not going to read through all that again, but I will go to the end and say that the planning board discussed the recent requested revisions to the site plan, and then the planning board issued a negative declaration under seeker, approved the special use permit, and approved the site plan with noted conditions and contingent upon engineering review. And that's our summary from the 2 meetings. Are there any questions?
Anybody?
On the corner of Lockport, Walmore. Lockport's a pretty busy road. I don't know whether they're considering maybe just putting one entrance on Walmore. Certain times of the day, when you're down there at that intersection, those cars are backed up big.
I think the main entrance is the one off of Lockport, but they needed a secondary
Oh, okay.
gated access just to have 2 points.
Can't have their main off the
I think it also helps for flow through with trucks. If somebody were to come in through one entrance, there might not be enough room for them to make a total U-turn around and get back out. It's pretty narrow in between the storage buildings.
The largest storage area is that area off of Walmart, that end,
Right.
for boats and trailers.
Okay, that's all we have tonight.
Thank you, Tim. Matt, I guess we'll move on to motions.
Okay, first motion from Dave Britton at GHD, to accept completed PIP improvements for construction of the 5 residential water services and 5 sanitary sewer services associated with the Shawnee Clemmer subdivision located on Shawnee Road.
Does anybody wish to make that motion?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. On this, David mentioned several conditions in his letter to get it approved, and I don't see the conditions on the motion. Are they included?
Yeah, they would be included as in conjunction with his letter.
So if we put a note about with conditions as per his letter, then would that be better?
That would be fine, yeah. That's fine.
Randy?
Yeah, it's fine.
Gil? Okay, so with conditions. Anything further on the question? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
The next motion again from Dave Britton at GHD, and this does actually address a couple of those conditions. To accept the maintenance bond for the town-owned water and sewer services and property deed restrictions for the individual lots of the Shawnee Clemmer subdivision. And those have been all reviewed by both me and Wendell.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion came from Wendell, engineer Tim Zuber. Whereas the town board has received a complete application to rezone approximately 46 acres of land in the Woodland Corporate Center expansion, SBL number 162.16-1-21, from M1 to a planned unit development. Now therefore be it resolved pursuant to Part 617.6 NYCRR Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law, SECR. It is the intent of the town of Wheatfield Town Board to declare itself lead SECR agency and to conduct a coordinated review of this project as a Type 1 action, and be it further resolved that the Wheatfield Town Board requests Wendell provide assistance in completing this coordinated review process.
I'll go ahead and make the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Art. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion is to schedule a public hearing on the rezone request of LI2 Holdings LLC to rezone a portion of the real property on Forest Parkway, SBL number 177.03-1-81.1 from M1 to PUD to be held at 7 blank o'clock on November blank 2017 at the Wheatfield Town Hall, 2800 Church Road, North Tonawanda, New York, 14120, prior to the regular scheduled town board meeting. Need a time and date?
About 4 weeks down the road, which would be November 20th. I think we have a meeting on the 6th and 20th, right? My recollection? We do have time enough to change that if I'm wrong.
20th is right.
And Gil, how about 7 o'clock on that?
Sounds good.
7 o'clock on November 20th.
Which one is right?
163, 162. One says 162, and one says 173, 177. should that be the same?
Yeah, they should be the same, and let me see, it somehow got transposed perhaps, let me just see if it's in the paperwork here. Just correct it quickly if we can.
That's not even close.
Well, then I guess I would, let's see. Since I don't have it close at hand, I would suggest we just strike it, the properties
Well,
otherwise.
it's called 177 on the request,
Yeah, two different things.
on the rezone,
Well-
and this is the seeker's 177, so I'm thinking it's 177.
Yeah, it's, well, on the application for rezoning, 177.03-1-81.1, so that's the correct one.
Okay, so we have this motion, did we have a mover?
Feel good, right?
Yeah.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, working with the motion as stated for 7 o'clock on November 20th. Is there anything further on the question? If not, then all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved. Do we need to go back now and change the other one?
That's what I would suggest, just for the record. The previous motion regarding the seeker lead agency, I just would request that someone make a motion to correct the SBL number, which was recited incorrectly. It should be the same as the one we just passed, 177.03-1-81.1.
I'll make the motion to correct. Second by Larry. Anything on that question? If these are wrong, what happens?
Well, if they're wrong, we'll correct them, but
Well,
they
we still have a public hearing.
we still are having a public hearing, we'll correct them, but, looking at the application for rezoning, which is in the package, it indicates that 177.03-1-81.1, so that is what was in the rezone application.
Okay. Then, anything else on the question? If not, all in favor of this correction?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Okay, next motion from the Budget Director to schedule a public hearing on November 6, 2017 at blank PM on the 2018 preliminary budget.
I'll make that motion at 7:15 PM.
I'll second it.
Okay, so you're making it at 7:15. Okay, anything further on that question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Excuse me.
Okay, next motion from the Firearms Review Permit Review Board to approve firearms discharge permit renewals for the individuals as shown on the attached list that was submitted by the Firearms Review Permit Board of September 11, 2017, to wit Ryan Lloyd and Ronald Gelato.
There was a secondary list, a
Okay,
long-winded list dated October 15th.
Correct.
Does that have to be two different motions?
We can add it to this motion, so it would permit not just the recommendations from the September 11th letter, but also from this more recent letter of October 15th, 2017, which just arrived. So we'd approve both lists.
I'll go ahead and move. Need a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? and 1, okay?
Next motion from the Town Supervisor and Town Board to approve the Independent Health iDirect Silver Copay HSA2 insurance plan as proposed effective December 1st, 2017 for eligible employees as per the Personnel Manual.
This is my idea, so I guess I better approve it. Make the motion.
Second.
Second by Art. This is basically the same plan we had last year, has the same options in it. They did raise the amount of cost, as all insurances have gone up this year. But it's a great plan. Anything else on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
And then there were two late motions that came in from the Budget Director. Motion to approve changes to the 2018 tentative budget for the general fund, decreasing total budget appropriations and estimated revenues by $38,757 for various accounts as set forth in the attached schedule.
I'll second.
Okay. Moved and seconded, on the one item with the building inspector, by taking it out now, it makes it difficult to go ahead with that proposal next year. If you leave it in, you don't have to do any hiring. My recommendation would be to leave that in, but the motion is as is. Anything else on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm opposed. 4-1. That's good.
Then another motion from the budget director, motion to approve additional changes to the 2018 tentative budget for the general fund and highway fund, decreasing the total budget appropriations and estimated revenues by $43,774 for various accounts as set forth in the schedule before you attached to the motion.
Moved by Larry, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Gil, anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
And that is all the motions I have at this point.
I have one more, and that had to do with the grant from Restore New York.
Okay. I do not have that.
Personnel things too, isn't it? He's got, what's this?
One of the
This one here?
supplemental
Yeah,
motions
you
that
got
came
this
in
one here.
late.
The next motion again from Director of Personnel to approve
This one.
Supervisor Cliff's authorization for a letter of intent requesting state grant funding from Restore New York relevant to the Wheatfield Business Park property.
This is something that Vinnie has been working on with the, I think it's Amy Fifth. And it's sort of a last second thing. We actually put the original request in on Friday, signed on Friday. It was rejected on Friday. It was changed today, and don't know if it's been accepted or not. That said, I'll go ahead and make the motion. Need a second.
I'll second.
Anything on the question? Go ahead.
I agree with Secretary that it's a budget grant and not any reimbursement. It also states that the property owner, are we the property owner or who's paying 10%? I guess is my question. Are the property, is the grant coming through for 90% and it's just covering the 10%? Bernie's not knowing.
It has nothing to do with Bernie. Bernie does not know about it.
Okay.
When I had a brief conversation with Vinnie Sandinato on Friday, he said there was nothing out of the town pocket. That's what
I was told.
That's what he told me.
Oh, I read it, but I just wanted to ask the question to make sure that 10% is going to be on the bid side and not all done.
Yeah, this is only a letter of intent to put in the, this is only a letter of intent to put in this motion. So we submitted the letter of intent Friday at Vinnie's request. Sent around a note to all the guys, and we did get 3 guys to agree, so this is just proving what we've already done. We do not have to accept it. If it comes in and it's not working out, we do not have to accept it. I know the owners of the property, when I had talked to them a while ago, they didn't want to do anything that forced them to give up control of their property yet. Down the road maybe, but not yet. As all grants, they take a lot of time.
The approximate value of it?
That's part of what we don't know yet, because we don't have that. It's probably gonna be $1 million. That's, if you go down Niagara Falls Boulevard, Mike and I were there, a couple of months ago, that building's about half gone now. It's about half caved in, and unfortunately it's all laden with asbestos, of course. So it makes it more expensive. Sooner or later, they're gonna have to find a way to get rid of that building. They're basically begging us not to force it at this point. So there's nothing committed, just a letter of intent.
Okay.
Anything else on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 4 to 1, that's approved.
And, at this point, that's all the motions. Well, there was one that was in our box from Highway. I don't know if it...
That was the handwritten one. I dropped it off today because we didn't get the headline on it. I didn't have a chance to get it sent to you guys.
Well, there's no overwhelming urgency to this. It should go through the process. It should go through Vinnie. We have to create a position on this if we're going to do it. We don't have a driver's position open. I would suggest that we go through the process. Starts with Vinnie, has to be posted, et cetera, et cetera. I haven't had a chance to ask him anything. None of us have. He just showed up tonight.
Yeah, get Vinnie to give us some type of approval for next meeting.
If he says it's okay, then we'll go next time.
But it does look like, in Ed's, personnel budget, it does look like that person that you were wanting the upgrade for has been, well, they budgeted for one for 2018, so it looks like he's in the budget for a truck driver. Yep. But you were trying to move him up before.
Turns out that he has experience.
Yep.
Like, that's why we're going to move him up. I mean, it only amounts to $115 before that amount again.
Yeah.
Budget rate.
Yeah, get Vinnie to give us some type of satisfying approval.
Okay. Motions are done?
That is all I have.
Okay, board member items. Larry?
I think we've got the minimum wage. There was a little bit of controversy on the minimum wage, what it really is, what it should be, what it's going to be. I think between Supervisor Cliff and Vinnie, they've answered those questions, so I'll get a casual, part-time, seasonal schedule out for next year, and maybe we can approve that so departments can see. It's going up a little bit. I think, was it 1040?
1040 for the coming year is the minimum wage.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to be our minimum wage.
So
but
our
that is
tables,
the minimum
our
wage.
tables will probably reflect 1040 as the lowest rate in there, and everything will be adjusted from there. But I don't have those tables ready yet. The other thing is, and people have probably noticed that town employees and departments maybe haven't been too talkative on email lately. There's a reason for that. Our email was broken into, and we've since now we've covered most everything. But you have to be certain with these things before you can re-enable all users. You got to make sure that the infection is really gone, because if you turn things on back too quickly, it'll just refester and reinfect everything back again. So I know it's been painful this week, but trust me, I see light at the end of the tunnel. I've been having some very long days in here and nights, so it looks like between our consultants and employees and department heads, and we were able to bring in an outside consultant to help us, good one. They've helped the water department out in past problems, and they're pretty quick to respond and pretty good. So I think we're out of the woods, and hopefully tomorrow we can start. The email accounts are all back, but passwords haven't been enabled yet. We're going to turn them on one at a time. We have to make sure that there's no hooks in them and no forwarding to the people that took it over the first time. So we're real close. That being said, I think it may have been in the Buffalo paper. There's a lot of bad stuff going out there. People are calling up about not Social Security, but income tax. And there was an article where somebody got hammered, and I don't know if it was in Lewiston, for $4,000. IRS said they were going to fine them or penalize them up to $35,000. But If you give me 4 $100 prepaid Visa cards, we may forget about that $35,000 and it was a scam. People are getting calls all the time about Microsoft Windows. I got a call today from somebody in this room, but I won't mention names because I don't want to embarrass anybody. But Windows do not call people houses. I mean, they seem to pry on seniors. I don't know how they get these numbers. My mother-in-law got called once, and she almost opened up her checkbook and her wallet and gave them a credit card number. They're calling. It's a scam. They're trying to make money. Microsoft will not call your house to tell you that your computer's infected. The chances your computer's not infected. They're just trying to scare you into some quick cash. They're going to sell you a program. They're going to take over remote control. I've had people tell me, oh yeah, they took over my PC. I stood back, my mouse, I wasn't touching my mouse, and my mouse was going all over my screen. Well, once they take over, they're going to infect you, and you're going to really need some professional help because then your PC is going to be compromised. They could be going after credit card numbers and all kinds of numbers because those types of things they can sell in the black market. Phishing schemes. They seem to be more prevalent now than ever. And what phishing scheme, it's not going out on Lake Ontario catching a coho salmon. Phishing schemes are bad guys sending you, and usually it's from Romania, Russia, some Russian countries, and I'm not picking on any nationality, but that's where most of them are coming. And they're after your accounts, and they're trying to phish, they entice you, like you got a UPS package, and you click on it to see what did you order. And they've taken over Amazon Prime accounts, and there's some people in this room that have had their Amazon accounts taken over. You have to be real careful with these phishing exploits because everybody's got Amazon, and they'll send you an email about a package that you just delivered, and there's a problem with delivery. So you're going to click on it to find out what the problem is, and you just got hooked. So you have to be real careful about what you open up on email, personal and in business. We have the best firewalls, we have the best antivirus, we have the best of everything, I think, in the town to protect our citizens and to protect our PCs. But if an employee, you're as weak as your weakest link. And I've taken a lot of cybersecurity classes, and that's all somebody has to do is click on a bad link, and you're letting the bad guys right into your computer, and they're on your network. You just have to be real cautious. I don't want to belabor this, but you got to be cautious. One class I was in, the Pentagon got hit once. This is my last example. But one of the generals at the Pentagon, they got their stuff compromised, and they didn't break into the Pentagon. But every Friday, the generals at the Pentagon would order Chinese food from the restaurant across the street. So guess what the bad guys did? They hacked into the Chinese restaurant across the street, knowing that the general secretary was going to be ordering Chinese food to take out at lunchtime. As soon as she logged in to that website, it was hacked. That gave the hackers a free ride back into the Pentagon. And the FBI told us about that story. So you can have the best of everything on your computers, antivirus and but the weakest link is the person. The person's going to be where you're going to get vulnerable and somebody's going to exploit you. And so department heads, just warn your staff not to take any bait from phishing exercises. And our material on our servers and everything has been inspected and double inspected this past week, and we're good. But again, the weakest link is the employee or the person at home, giving them your bank account. So you have to be real careful. Sorry for belaboring it, but it's very important, and a lot of people are getting hooked. That's all I have.
Thank you. Gil.
Local fire hall has two new members, Mr. Lane and Larry Perez. We'd like to add them to the record roll. I make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No, sir.
That's approved. Thank you. Art?
I have no report this evening.
Randy?
The agricultural focus group next Tuesday, we're going to meet on the 24th at 7 p.m.
And I did some training in Mike Clark. In about 3 years, it's on ADA training. Potentially in 3 years, a lot of ADA requirements are going to change. Whether you know about that or not, they could change, and it's going to be a big deal. So keep your eyes out for that, because it's not a couple thousand, it's going to be hundreds of thousands to upgrade to what they're proposing. So if you ever hear of it, I talked to Bernie about it today, and he said there are grants for this, but he said sooner is better than later, because if everybody comes at the same time, it's going to be tough. But if you ever hear anything about it, we got to jump on it maybe a little bit around here, because there's one set of rules for a private person that has people come in. It's a whole other set of rules, a little bit more stringent on like the town hall facility for the people. So be aware that this may be happening in about 3 years. That would be it.
Thank you. Just for everybody's interest, the bounce, whatever we want to call that tried flying away yesterday over at the maze. We spent some time looking at that today. I spent some time with Mike talking about it. Were there any violations? And we're not aware of any town law. We're not aware of any state law regarding these inflatable objects, these inflatable toys, big toys is what they are. It does look like something we might want to take a look at. I'm not sure how we would go about doing that. Normally we might start with the task force to see if one of the groups would be interested in picking up. Somebody's going to have to go out and find out if there are any laws in place. Doesn't sound like there's any state law. Doesn't sound like there's any county law. And I know there's no town law here, and none in Clarence is the other one you call it. Even Lockport had none. So it's a new problem. There was a kid that got killed last year at one of the major amusement parks because of this. People put the bounce houses in their backyard. We might need to force them to get a permit to protect the town. So that's something we should start working on somewhere, and I'm not 100% sure where. Saturday, I came over here and had the pleasure of talking to many of the garden club members. The garden club spent hours. There were probably a dozen workers working on our grounds, and they do a great job every year. Where's Paul? Paul, they did ask about mulch. You have no mulch? Because they did ask if they could get their hands on some mulch. We can certainly afford to buy it if we can move it. It can come out of my budget if they want to do that. But they do a great job here. They do a great job at Fairmont Park and anywhere that they work. They do wonderful work. We have an LDC meeting this Thursday night at 7 o'clock. I have not sent out a notice because of the email situation. I haven't been able to find out if I can get a room yet. I do believe it's going to be over at the community center. Usually there's a room available for us. So 7 o'clock this week. And for the papers, I will send out the notice as soon as I find out about a room. And that's all I have. Next meeting is November 6th. That's a Monday just before the election. And we'll hold our public hearing on the preliminary budget that evening. Anytime after that public hearing is closed, we could approve the budget, or we could wait until the next meeting, which we determined before was the 20th. 20th actually is the very last day that we can approve a budget. So whatever is the budget on that evening is probably going to be that budget. And then we have the town board meeting after. And we do need to have an executive session this evening. Hate to do that, gentlemen, but we do need to have that. That will be on a contractual issue. We'll do that after public input before we close. I would say the board members, the town attorney, and our town clerk. We could do that first. We could have Paul in on that session. That'd be fine. So we're back to public input. Anybody want to talk on any subject? Rita and Tom, thank you for your work in putting on this big, it's a real shame. We've had 3 very, very good discussions in fire safety and personal safety this year. Rita and Tom were the drivers of that through their focus group. It's unfortunate that people, with 18,500 people in town, roughly 19,000 people in town, that we're getting nobody there. It's all done for their benefit.
We went to a dinner earlier with this last presentation, to the point of some of our students in the Silverwood area and off of Woodward, who took me to the mail, not the mailboxes, but the each of the boxes people have had on their mailbox post, flyer inviting them, describing what it was going to be all about. We went to Rachel, Norman, Erica, Reagan, Mabel, Pico, and Patel, and we had 2 people show up.
It's all about personal safety, fire safety. Too bad, because it's been a great plan that the 3 you put together. It's unfortunate we haven't had
it.
some.
In addition to the fact that they're having their own open house that we really were unaware of last year when they made the plan, they still sacrificed 2 of their people to come over and do this presentation. So those of us that were there got a lot out of it.
Yep. It was Jan Bertlieb and Dennis Panic were there for that presentation. Anybody on any subject? If not,
I asked a question about the motion about the asbestos in the building in the business park. How does an area that's open to the air not have federal regulations which controlling the asbestos that's in the atmosphere because of the uncontrolled use of that building?
Mike, I guess that's a question for you. Anything else? If not, then I will entertain a motion to go into executive session. Need a second?